News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Alan Gilbreth with darkhookmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian, presenting you the ever-polarizing holiday of National Mustard Day.
Oh, what's polarizing about that, Max? Who doesn't like mustard?
Is it creamy and yellow, or is it brown and chunky?
Or do you not like it on your hot dog, or do you?
I think ketchup's the big real contention on hot dogs. Isn't like Chicago's Bane?
Oh, yeah. If you go to Chicago and you're at Wrigley Fields, do not order ketchup on your hot dog.
Yeah, so you're like, nothing but pro mustard.
Yeah. I think we're a pro mustard show here, Max. I don't see any contention on this one. All varieties are welcome, Alan.
Well,
Dijon,
there we go. I like
honey,
that.
Okay. That's a good one, man. Hey, maybe it is polarizing. We don't know. There could be a whole anti-mustard contingent out there.
But they need to let us know.
The AMC.
Exactly. If you're part of the AMC.
They need to text us and let us know.
Absolutely. Get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. You can also watch the show at the Royal Retreat Studio Cams when you scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page. Once you've done that, Alan, I keep saying this in reverse. This is the order of operation. First, go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, get updated, check out the posts we've made over there, then scoot over to the Royal Retreat. That makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely,
I think, so.
Yes.
All right, I need to reverse my note card here. But either way, get involved over on Facebook and make sure you like the page and check out all the action over there. Well, I've made a couple posts, Alan, including our Great Moments in Building History, which is a creepy and interesting one, and I don't even know. You and I were debating this. At first you weren't necessarily on board because they didn't really build much, but the technology they used to make it, I don't know, whatever. They built a big drill, basically.
They did several times.
Excuse me. The reason it's important is because it introduced us to the mole people.
Right, exactly. So for this week's Great Moments in Building History, we're going to discuss the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia.
Yes.
It's 9 inches wide.
It is.
And it's 9 miles deep.
There's a lot to unpack there. So it's a little bit sciencey, but it directly applies to a lot of what we're going to be going through in the future.
Oh, yeah. The knowledge and the information they gain from that is worth the price of admission. So, it kind of fell into disrepair. Well, we'll get to that. We're not going to do Alan, I'm looking at this, man. We probably have 2 weeks worth of notes here. So let me tease lightly. Naturally, we'll get to our must-have item of the week. Alan's got a very quick Critter Wars that it's just too good to pass up. Alan's Week in Review. This looks like an interesting project. This was actually doing something constructive, not reactive.
Right.
Sometimes your work is more we would say reactive to that. So so we've got that. You know what? I'm not teasing anything else beyond that because there's too much. But trust us, folks, we're not going to run out of material.
I just want to say an anonymous texter texted in and they said mustard is my go-to condiment.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, did they leave a name or?
Like I said, it's an anonymous texter.
All right. Well, whoever you are, so we've got one upvote for mustard, and also since it is National Mustard Day. Wait, is it international or national?
National.
Okay, so since it is national, I really believe we should get more. We should try to get more votes out there. And also, Alan, I wonder if this is a regional thing. I'll be honest, I didn't really have honey Dijon mustard till I moved down here in the South.
Okay.
I pretty much was a straight yellow mustard person.
Territorial differences or that type of thing?
I mean, that's the kind of cooking stuff you like to discuss. So.
Well, I mean, because I'm a huge fan of, and I'm about to shock a number of friends of mine, of a northern condiment with the deli mustard. Like from Boar's Head.
I think that's kind of what I like, too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Dijon. But I like the hunt. Okay, whatever. This isn't. See, if you don't watch it, Max, this can easily turn into a food discussion. So
I didn't even mention the fact that it's also National Couscous Day.
I'm good with couscous.
Now, mustard. Let's stick with mustard. Okay. Hey, Max, before we get to any of that, though, I am in the middle of an epic ongoing Tool tale.
And now, Tool Tales with Tool Talk Radio.
And Alan, I'm going to call myself out. And you've heard the term.
That's usually my job.
He who hesitates is lost.
Yes,
I am
yes.
very guilty of this. So, folks, if you don't know, if you ever go to my website, thorshomes.com, among the things, I always say carpentry and wood turning. That's what I do. I don't really showcase much of the wood turning, but occasionally I get wood turning gigs, Alan. So there is a big event going on up in about 2 weeks that I make these commemorative bats, people, and they're usually for Cubs players. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
so if you're a St. Louis Cardinals fan, I mean, I might do it. I'll probably double the price or something, but no.
You'll
Anyway,
get over it.
Okay, so among these, I turn the bats, then I have to stain them and then get them engraved. Well, Alan, the laser engraver that I normally use was, you remember that big deep freeze we had back in December?
Oh, yeah.
I learned the hard way that those tubes, they're filled with water, and if your laser engraver is in the garage, they can actually crack. This one cracked. So the long and short of it was, even though the laser tube has been replaced, there's a lot of configuration that has to go on. You don't just stick a new one in and go. There's like all these calibration, whatever. I didn't have time to fool with that. So then I found here's what I was getting at. I'm in desperate need of time-sensitive laser engraving, and I've got a couple of resources. I've talked to a couple people that have laser engravers. But what I'm learning here, Alan, is man, these machines, they can run from, I don't know, $5,000 to $30,000 to $50,000, and there is no one kind of you don't just plug and play with these things. You don't just show up and say, here's a flash drive with my images. Let's stick the bat in there and engrave them. Because I got to engrave like 8 bats, Alan, and time is running out. And what I'm finding, too, is what I'm really learning about this modern kind of update, these modern automated woodworking tools are really just giant, expensive printers.
Yes.
And like any type of device like that, one little glitch or one Wi-Fi connection gone bad or one little misstep, man, it can really slow you down, and it can even just make it inoperative. And so, I mean, there's pros and cons with these things, but I'm in the middle of I've got 3 engravers that I'm trying to get to get working with, and I'm having trouble with all of them.
Well, you have what I used to love to call the race car conundrum.
Talk to me.
You just spent $250,000 on the dream ride of your life.
Right.
$250,000. We'll go 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds, all that.
Right.
Ain't running without a $3 spark plug.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm dealing with. I mean, the problems are very simple, but they're bringing everything to a grinding halt.
They're crippling when they happen.
I'll wrap it up when we come back, but and we've got a lot more. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
The Emperor does not share your optimistic appraisal of the situation, and he is most displeased with your apparent lack of progress.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Allan, that guy is force sensitive. He could probably build this thing in 10 minutes. Why doesn't he come down and help? I mean, all he does is complain.
His management.
All right. And welcome back. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. We're with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Check out the action over there. Make sure you like and share the page. And then after you've done that, while you're on Facebook, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page, and you can watch the show. Well, watch and listen. Make sure you hit the unmute button.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed how many times somebody goes, well, the show's not playing. Well, you got to hit that little icon in the corner, the little unmute button. But you can do that on the Royal Retreat Studio cams and check that out. Hey, Alan, before the break, we were talking about my time-sensitive laser engraving conundrum. I was really kind of, I don't know. I feel like I got to recenter the conversation because it sounded like I was ripping on these devices. It's really my own fault. I could have done this 2 months ago. These bats were ready to go. I just didn't get around to it. I'm like, well, I'll just, this event is in the middle of August. I'll just do it, a few weeks before. Well, the problem with that is that some of these that you don't just if you've got a friend or somebody that's got a laser engraver or a CNC machine, and you think you're going to go over there and in an hour or two just engrave whatever you're doing or something, think again, because they may have it set for all their projects and everything, but when you come in with an unusual project that's different, there's all sorts of calibrations. There's all sorts of things, connection issues that might not work. And so just keep in mind these things. We're all for them. They're great machines, but boy, one little hiccup can shut the whole operation down. Alan.
I'm going to throw out how many parents out there got the 9 o'clock at night bombshell from the student.
Oh, that's exactly what it feels like. This is you nailed it. This feels exactly like my son going, "Hey, I have a science project due tomorrow, and can we start on it?" What's this "we" stuff? First of all, but you're making your problem into my problem. But that's exactly what it feels like.
Your task is now my task
because I'm doing that to my friends with these laser engravers. I'm suddenly making. If I'd have done this 2 months ago, I could have engraved a couple bats one weekend and then come back and gradually get it done. But, now I'm just scrambling. So, that's very good. Alan.
One of my favorite cartoons of all time is the, why alien abductions only happen at night. Mm-hmm. And it's got the parent alien sitting there reading the newspaper, and the student alien has walked over and he goes, "It's 9 o'clock at night. Why didn't you tell me you needed an earthling for a science experiment?" And it's like,
So these kids are procrastinating. They're,
all the way, and I'm thinking about even my friends, all the way through every level of school.
Oh, yeah.
Have I gotten that weird phone call that goes, "I can't figure out how to throw an egg off a building."
Right.
Or I can't figure out, and welcome to these devices that when they work amazing. The printer
it's
has
the setup,
ink.
though.
The toner is
setup.
there.
Yeah.
Everything is there. I've been designing a lot of labels lately, and this is that sounds like big deal. No. You have to get the labels perfectly lined up inside the label to start with, and then B, you got to get the actual label to line up versus the piece of paper coming out of that particular printer.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have to line up how the label lays out on the product.
Yeah.
You just talk about, calculation after calculation and tiny little tweak. Every one of these pages takes, honestly, hours to set up. It does,
yeah. It's the setup that takes forever. Yeah.
Once it's done, it's great.
Yeah.
But as long as that printer doesn't move, get changed, or run out of ink.
Right.
So I feel your pain when you look at this and you go, I still got like 2 weeks to go, but I might need 8 hours per bat to reconfigure these things.
It might. It's getting to that point because it's not. So, like I said, the machine that I was used to, Alan, I could literally bring my computer out there, plug it in, and I would be in business within 5 minutes because it was already calibrated to what I need.
You do.
But other engravers are usually calibrated to whatever projects they're doing. So that's where the translate. And, these people have lives. They can't just sit there and babysit me and show me how to use their machine and everything. So, folks, I would just say if you're getting an engraver or something, keep in mind these are great machines, but they one little glitch can shut them down. And if you're not at all tech savvy, you better have somebody handy that is, because these things are really this is 95% computer work. I know what comes out at the end is something made of wood and something, but it ain't. It's just about all computer stuff.
It's the calculations. It's all of it. So brace yourself. Yes,
it'll be. I have a few long nights ahead of me, but it'll get done. But I'm kicking myself for procrastinating. So it's definitely my own fault. So don't hesitate with these projects. So, but Alan, let's change gears. You had sort of an interesting week.
Oh, the humanity.
Now, was that apropos, Alan? It sounds like what you did was actually very positive.
Well, that's kind of how I felt when I walked up to the project originally.
All right. Well, for those that are new to Tool Talk Radio, Alan has a wide-ranging skill set, and he never does the same project twice from one week to the next. So we always like to check in and see what he worked on. This week was a lot of carpentry, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, this week was a lot of demo and cleaning and
Okay.
pre-carpentry.
Gotcha.
So we're going to kind of explain pre-carpentry to people. So, all right, the project itself is a structure by a pool.
Okay.
That's basically it. It was kind of a tool shed, pool shed, whatever.
Let's specify. Is this a built-in pool?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, it's an in-ground pool. How many feet from this structure?
This thing is about 8 feet from the edge
So
of the
it's
pool.
right there. It's going to be getting splashed. I mean, 8 feet, Alan, that's close.
It has seen water.
Okay.
Yes, it has.
That's significant. It's
Right.
also going to see evaporation and
It's
steam coming from the
sun,
pool. So
tree limbs, goats, you name it, it's seen it.
okay.
So step number one was, of course, the strip down and cleaning. So the big thing is, I'm looking at the client, and I'm like, all right, I need to know exactly what the finished product is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to a magazine and printed out exactly how she wants her new pool bar to look.
You said this is a OLS.
Oh, yeah.
Outdoor libation station.
It is supposed to be an outdoor libation station. So.
Right now, Alan, you showed me a picture. I don't know when it was built. It looks like it would have been built maybe in the 80s or something like that. It looks like something out of Gilligan's Island, kind of a tiki sort of.
It has that
it's
kind of.
It's got a fun look, but it's rotted away. So,
well, yeah, a lot of the add-ons and everything around the base structure pretty much beat up, wore out, wasn't appropriate. Wasn't well done the first time, all that kind of stuff. So all of that had to be demoed and stripped. However, we're doing selective demo. Okay, you can't just go in and knock everything down. You have to really carefully go, okay, how are we going to remove this?
Yeah.
Do I need a Sawzall with a metal blade? Can we just ease this off? Can we tap it loose with a hammer? So there was an entire day of just basically disassembling it down to the base structure.
And there's a roof and there's electrical in this, right?
There is roof, electrical. We are 8 feet from the pool.
There's a lot of...
So you can't just walk backwards with something.
Right.
You got to be careful with the dust. You got to be careful with how you're doing this.
There's probably code things you have to think about. You can't just have an electrical outlet right by water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the big thing was we actually got lucky and the wind was with us the day we were sanding.
Oh, nice.
It's a big old pool. This is one of those weird things you have to kind of think of in your job. If the wind is going to be a little variable, is it blowing the debris and the dust that you're making? Where is that going?
Sure.
Because in this particular case, it was just kind of blowing out into the field behind it. So we broke out the orbital sanders and we knocked out sanding this thing down in like 3 hours.
So you guys were working around the weather. That's kind of fun. You're like, okay, we got the wind blowing
The
with
wind
us.
is at
We're
our back.
sanding
Here
right
we
now.
go.
Okay.
Break out the sanders. And that way we didn't have to worry about putting plastic over the pool and protecting it. Broke them out, got it done.
Nice.
So now it is sanded down. Now it's been demoed. And now we are going to, this coming week, we're going to start the reassembly. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build a really cool tiki bar. But first, we're going to hide, you ready?
I'm ready.
A greenhouse in it.
Explain, sir. So,
Well, due to the way it's constructed, it's kind of squared off and blocky. So with the placement of one or two, and see the bunny ears in the air when I do this, see the one or two decorative beams that have nothing to do with the structure that we're going to pre-install so that this winter, when the libation station has been closed, now you have a really cool building that you can... It's got power.
So
and
this is
close
a
and be greenhouse.
multi-purpose. So it'll probably get some sun because of the positioning of the. So the plants can go in the pool.
There we
go.
go.
The pool, or they
Can
go
go in the over the winter.
See, I like
greenhouse.
the multi-purpose nature of that.
Oh, I'm totally having a
waste.
blast with this.
And so, but it sounds like there's some design. You're going to have to make some considerations on the
Yes.
front end to make your life easier.
Yeah, we'll
like
be
you
doing
said.
that this week. So we're going to hide the greenhouse in it before we open the bar.
All right, we're going to learn more about that when we come back for sure. And then, Alan, boy, we've got a really interesting Critter Wars to get
Oh,
to. Yeah. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Everything that has transpired has done so according to my design.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
So not only will he not help us with things, he's taking credit for everything.
Oh, absolutely.
We got to quit this gig, Alan. This guy's the worst. And and welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page
And
give
please,
us a like.
and please chime in about your opinions of mustard.
Oh, yeah, we have mustard reports coming in, Alan. We'll get to that in a second because this is, as Max indicated, National Mustard Day. So we've already been getting, we've already been voicing our opinions, and people are chiming in on that. So do that at the Royal Retreat studio, or I'm sorry, back up. Do that at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. You can also call and tell us what you think of that. And then after you've done all that, if you want to watch the show, go over to the Royal Retreat studio cams over at the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and see what it looks like in here. The camera lights are on, Alan.
They are.
They're
Does our
blinking.
work cut the mustard?
Okay, so Max, it is National Mustard Day. I know that Alan, you've already got one coming in, but you were asking about something, and it's actually a good question. It's like, where did the term "cut the mustard" come from? Because what does it indicate, Max? Did you find it?
It means that you are not up to the job. So when
Right.
mustard was one of the main crops back in areas like East Anglia, it was cut by hand with scythes in the same way as corn. And so the crop would grow about 6 feet high and was very arduous work, and it required very sharp tools. So if your tools were blunt, they quite literally couldn't cut the mustard.
Oh, well, what do we always say about sharp tools, Alan? So you can't cut the mustard? You weren't prepared for the job?
You were ill prepared to perform the task.
Well, we in the Bible, they say the mustard plant is one of the hardiest plants, right? I've never seen one, Alan. Have you seen one?
You've never had mustard greens?
No, I don't know. What do you want? Don't look at me that way. I don't have a forest in my backyard like you do. So, well, actually, I kind of do.
Actually, mustard is very easy to grow. It is a lovely leafy green and is quite tasty when you harvest it small.
Okay. All right. So before we have one other thing to get to, but Alan, you said somebody else had an opinion about mustard.
We've been getting few of our favorites have been popping in saying, "Hey, I use mustard all the time."
Well, what kind? We're asking for specific. Like we're talking. We want to know if this is a regional preference. Like if you're up north, the only mustard I remember growing up was yellow mustard. I mean,
yeah, the French's yellow mustard was kind of the grand introduction of mustard to the U.S. That was a big early national product.
Okay.
And we started getting into the deli stuff later. We started getting into the specialty mustards and stuff. I'm recalling around the 80s is when
I think that's what it was, because that's about when I moved to California, and so I didn't. Yeah, okay, I missed that trend in Chicago, so whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
You missed all the Grey Poupon commercials where they would, roll up next to each other and roll down the windows of the car and, do you have any Grey Poupon?
Right. Okay. All right. Before this turns into another food dude segment, hey Alan, in a minute we're going to get back to your discussion of what you were up to this week. You had a pretty interesting project, and you're going to keep us posted on that. But before we get to that, who I wonder how he's celebrating National Mustard Day is our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration. Surely he would commemorate such a day, don't you think, Alan? I mean, the guy likes to eat.
He's probably grilling out and got a dog or two.
Okay,
absolutely.
Good. I would like to think so. He deserves a little bit of a break because, man, is he busy. What a busy
What
summer
a business to be in these days.
You know,
My
it's a
goodness.
critical business, and it's also, for you, it's critical to be involved in a business like Brown Refrigeration because all of us have HVAC systems.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
And they need to be running at peak efficiency. And when you have when you have an HVAC unit, you should have at the ready. Larry Brown's number should be up on your refrigerator with one of his nifty magnets because not only do you want it, you want to make sure you're using the most updated technology because the technology of today is so much better in terms of your utility bill will go down. Plus, let's face it, the change with refrigerant is there's new refrigerant being used and old units may not be up to the task. So also it's an ongoing thing with maintenance. And when we say maintenance, it's really just more of preventative maintenance. And a lot of it is just cleaning and identifying potential problems. So you want to check in with Brown Refrigeration every 6 months or a year just to get them to come on out, make sure everything's running, as it should. And it basically pays for itself. You also you're also going to want to get the Remy Halo system. That is just really great technology. It uses the UV power of the sun to basically clean all of the air within your HVAC system so that all the air coming out is not only clean, but it's cleaning every surface it is.
It is.
They're just great people over there. He's overdue for a visit, though, Alan. Trying to get, he puts work in front of visiting with you and me, which I don't know how to
can't
take
imagine.
that. But anyway, Larry, we need you on the air soon. But either way, if you want to get in touch with Brown Refrigeration, they're very easy to reach. Give them a call at 901-362-1881 or go to their very easy to remember website, brownref.com. So, Alan, before the break, you were telling us about this outdoor structure that you're building. It's kind of got, I'm assuming there are unique challenges because you're basically building it's kind of an open bar sort of situation, right? 8 feet from a pool.
Yes.
Outdoor libation station. And then it's going to and then in the winter, you're going to basically enclose, what are you going to enclose it with? Like plexiglass or plastic or
Just
something?
plastic sheeting.
So you're going to wrap it and turn it into a temporary greenhouse.
Yes.
I mean, that's brilliant, actually. Because
Well-
I'm guessing this person must have a lot of outdoor plants maybe it's even by the pool and stuff, and then you just bring them on in for the winter.
Well, you got a few plants that are not exactly 0 degree hardy. Well, stick them in the greenhouse and they'll be good next March, So the idea, though, is it's one of those kind of fun things where you just basically get it down to its basic structure. And it's a box. The basic structure of any, like we're looking around this room right here.
Yeah.
This room is a box.
Right.
But now, what can we do inside this box? So the fun part is adding 1 or 2 2x4s decoratively in the right spots.
Right.
And at the right level suddenly creates a smooth attachment surface for the greenhouse.
Right.
So, you can go back and put in the hooks or however you want to attach the plastic. That can all be done discreetly so that it's already there.
Right. So when it's time to convert it, it's ready to go. So
Right.
This kind of makes me think of the aesthetic that I like with traditional Japanese houses, where a lot of the decorations occur in the corner at the edges of the room, and a lot of the space is empty. And so you could, in theory, make it a dining room. You can make it a bedroom by moving in mattresses. It's very multi-purpose when you just think of it as a box. And it seems like you guys are following a similar principle with the libation station.
Well, you know what?
Well, it's
Oddly,
modular,
sir,
yeah.
You've called me out perfectly because that is exactly what I'm doing. And I'm using the exact same book you're looking at.
So, Alan, for me, the big thing I'm thinking about is the old water is the enemy here. So
Yes.
you've got to think in terms of, okay, you're getting not only, you got rain, you got people splashing, you got people that might step out of the pool and step on up to the libation. So they're getting chlorinated water on this thing. You also are dealing with sun and wind. And you talk about a structure that's going to expand and contract.
Yes.
So the big thing, too, is considering you don't want to create areas that are going to trap moisture in any way because that's a recipe for this thing has to breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've gone back, and the cool thing to remember about wood, when you're building something with fresh new wood, you just went down to the big box store, the lumber yard, and you bought it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to shrink.
Oh, yeah. Especially
going
sometimes
to
it's
shrink.
wet right off the rack.
Well,
It's like, yeah.
And even if you're using like a pressure treated, it's still going to dry out and shrink just a little bit. So you can put the edges up against each other, understanding fully that they are going to separate slightly and give you breathing room.
Can I say something now?
Dive
you triggered
in.
me because I get this a lot, and I'm probably I don't know if I'm going to tick off anybody here, but I'm just going to say sometimes with outdoor projects, somebody will show me they're like, hey, I want this, and they show me a picture from a magazine, and it has a 45-degree angle involving 2x4s or 4, and I'm always. I almost always try to talk them out of it because you've seen this, Alan. You have a 45-degree, sometimes on top of a handrail or something.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about expansion and contraction. When you have a 45-degree angle and it shrinks like a quarter of an inch, for one thing, it is just a perfect way to rot the wood and everything, but it just looks ugly. And 45-degree angles for that type of lumber, I've rarely seen that look good. I'm sorry. I always try to go against it. Get it even a 90-degree angle. If a piece of wood butts up to it, it just looks it looks better than that. So I'm sort of anti 45 when it comes to the outside.
the really big advantage to this was originally built Quaker style.
Oh, good.
So it's all
simple lines.
It is all straight, simple lines, no miters.
Right. Okay. Good.
So I'm getting, because see the problem in an outside project with a miter is, of course, also you're dealing with thinning down the wood, because when you cut that miter into it, the very edge of that wood is paper thin,
right?
And then it thickens out. But you've given now more surface area for the environment to act on.
That's true.
So I like the Quaker style for outside wood, and what I mean by that is you have squared off corners. You're putting you take a 2x4, you just line the other one up with it, and they make a nice smooth joint, but it's all full wood.
Right.
So you're not getting a small area to decay faster than the big, fat, nice, thick areas.
Yeah. You do that on the front end, too. The design is and what you're talking about here, I mean, you're going to save yourself a lot of headaches down the road.
Well, this is also going to be a design that's going to last for the next 10 years. And then somebody will come behind me and go, all right, it's time to refresh this thing again. And hopefully they'll take my work and look at it and go, all right, well, this is what we had to work with. And it should be, in my mind, easy to update or change in 10 years.
Well, Alan's going to be keeping us posted because he's at the beginning of this project.
I am.
So we'll be getting updates. But, Alan, you also had a Critter War situation that we want to get to when we come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I got them a toaster. They called off the wedding and gave the toaster back to me. I tried to return the toaster to the store, and they said they no longer sold that kind of toaster. So now my house has got 2 toasters.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I mean, Alan, I can think of a few things more exciting than having 2 toasters. Think of what you could do on a Sunday morning for breakfast.
I'm thinking amateur, you've only got 2.
Yeah, Alan's got 2 toasters in the living room. I mean, get with it, buddy. So, and welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, like several people have been doing today, because as Max indicated, today is National Mustard Day, and a lot of people have opinions about mustard.
It's not inquiries about tools; it's inquiries about mustard.
Yes.
Right, and so we want to know what what's your preference? Where are
what's
you
your
from?
favorite
and
mustard?
What's the best use of mustard? I mean, don't ask Alan, because this whole show will turn into a cooking show. But if we'd like your opinion. I mean,
Well,
we like to mark these holidays. So
Well, this has a lot to do with Tool Tales because, it's grilling out. It's being in the backyard.
Yeah.
Mustard is a serious, and you're a big baseball fan.
yeah,
Mustard is a serious piece of Americana of all the condiments out there, baseball, a hot dog with some mustard on it.
Yeah, okay.
No.
You're not going to rope me into a food discussion.
I'm actually giving you some credit for a change.
Okay. Either way. Okay. So go to if you whatever. Among the Tool Talk Radio experiences, we also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. You can see what we've posted up there, and like the page and share the page. And then while you're over on Facebook, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9, the Roar Facebook page, and watch the show. The studio cameras are on, brought to you by the Royal Retreat, which we love those folks over there. So we thank them for the Royal Retreat studio cams. You can see what the show looks like. So hey, Alan, you've been we're gonna be following this project of yours. You're building an outdoor. It's basically an outdoor bar for your pool, but it's in the winter, you're gonna convert it into a greenhouse. And
Absolutely.
that sounds like a lot of fun. So you're at the beginning stages of that, and we're gonna be hopefully you're gonna be getting pictures and everything, right?
Oh yes.
So, okay.
Oh, yes.
But in the meantime, you also had something going on, and we want to get. This was actually more.
That's the most foul, cruel, and bad-tempered rodent you ever set eyes on. I just wanted to hug.
Oh, rats in the kitchen, just like that delightful movie I taped in the theater.
We haven't had a good critter wars, and this one, I mean, these are critters that everybody can't stand. I hate to say it. So I saw a funny meme about this the other day. It said, "Why couldn't Noah have swatted those 2 mosquitoes in the ark?" So, but whatever. But mosquitoes, that's kind of the bane of our. I know they must serve an ecological purpose. Now, if we didn't have mosquitoes, I'm sure our ecosystem would probably shut down or something. But when you're in the backyard enjoying a hot dog with mustard, you don't want mosquitoes.
That's right.
But you dealt with a pretty interesting one this week.
All right. This is one of those, I know it comes as a shock to anybody to hear that you and I spend a lot of time in hardware stores.
Oh, yeah.
And in lumber yards.
Yeah, big shock.
So I'm walking through one of the big box stores, and a sign from across the store catches my eye because it's the title of the product.
Oh.
And the title of the product is like 8 lines long.
Oh.
It's, LED-induced flicker with UV, I'm trying to remember exactly how it was
solar-powered
phrased.
flame flickering LED UV bug zapper.
Yes,
That's
that was it.
That's
That
why
was
I make
it.
notes, Alan, because then
And
I
I'm
don't
looking at
forget.
that, and I went, all right, I have to go over there.
Quick question, because this thing is nice looking. This looks like a decorative lamp,
It
but
does.
it also kills bugs.
It does.
But Alan, I'm curious. It's solar powered. Does it have a backup system? Because
No.
this is something you want running all the time.
No. And I will give it mad props. It does actually run all night.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now wait a minute. So folks, Alan, maybe you ought to post this, but it looks like a lantern. It's got a little flickering flame, kind of like those fake electric fireplaces.
It's got an LED in the bottom that creates a fake flame flickering. So it's the human attractor.
Right.
In the top of it,
Yeah.
there is the little UV lights that you use to attract nocturnal insects like mosquitoes and other pests. It has a shielded bug zapper in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the top of it is, of course, the battery storage and the UV charger, the solar charger.
Can you just turn it on when you go out? Like, it doesn't just go on automatically?
Yeah.
Okay.
It turns on automatically when it gets dark.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can put your hand, what I find is hilarious is you can put your hand over the top of the solar sensor on the top of it.
Yeah.
And it will come right on.
All right, now I'm facing a humanitarian crisis here, Alan, because, and I'd like to know what folks think of it. Okay, here's my feeling about it. I'm not like out to murder mosquitoes, but if they're in the backyard, it's kind of like I want to mainly keep them away from me.
Yes,
and if a few die by my hands, that's the way it is. But this sounds like you could. What if you don't go in the backyard for like 3 or 4 weeks? Every night you're electrocuting mosquitoes with this thing.
And considering it is sitting just immediately adjacent to my fish pond, I am feeding my fish.
Okay, but there's no cutoff system.
My
for this?
fish like barbecue. What can I tell you?
All right. Okay. Well, that's all right. Never mind. It looks nice though. This is a good looking lamp. Where do all the dead bugs go? Do they fall into a pan, or do you
fall out? Well, there's a little catch pan at the bottom, but I have
so keep it clean and then.
No, the fish pond is right there.
Yeah,
So,
not everybody lives like you, Alan.
I know.
You know, some people may, just, we have to make them aware of this. How much did this thing cost?
it was about $40.
Okay.
And it was one of those purchases where I literally had to debate about it. And I was like going, all right, do I really want to spend $40 on this gizmo? Because generally in the past, devices like this don't work very well.
Well,
they really don't. You know,
in the past, we've had our issues with some of the
light up
stuff.
your garden path, and they light up for like an hour, and then they die.
Right.
And the first time it rains, they short out, and you throw them away.
Yeah.
Of this, I've got to say, is well built. It's designed well, and it honestly, at dark, comes on and stays on till morning, and the little zapper does zap. And the little light flicker effect is, an appropriately cheesy looking tiki torch. So I've really got to give this one particular product an applause that it really did do what it said it's going to do.
How loud is the zap? Because you know how there's
it's
some where
very
it's like
subtle.
it sounds like a horror movie or something like you know what I mean?
No,
Like
this is an Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
This is actually just kind of a little, it's kind of a little light.
Okay.
The little openings are not big enough for something like a big old beetle or a cicada to get in there. So it's really designed for small insects like mosquitoes.
All right, now here's kind of a fundamental question, because honestly, I don't really use a lot of these, because our backyard, I feel like it's a losing battle. At night, I just don't go out there. It's just way too many mosquitoes. But is there a strategy to where you should position? Let's suppose you got a little table out in the back, like a little, dining, just a place to eat dinner or something. Where would you position this? Because you also don't want them falling on your food or anything.
Well, exactly.
So
There's a couple of different theories on that. I kind of subscribe to the put them between you and the source.
okay.
So
I like that better than by
in the
food.
case of my particular backyard, of course, I have a lot of bushes, and they're out around the fence.
Right.
Towards the center of the yard is much more open. So the idea is to protect the patio, so I want the bug zapper between me and the bushes.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. So in this situation, I don't know, you might want 2 or 3 of these.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
you surround especially if you're somebody like you that likes to be outside and, maybe cook out or something. So
well, and there are a variety more of these type products coming out that are going to be solar powered, so you don't have to run electrical lines, and you don't have to worry about the cat chewing on the cord or something like that. So
Right.
when you set these up, the one I bought happened to come with a stake, so you can put it in the yard, put it wherever you want to put it. So welcome to the era of solar-powered bug zappers.
I don't know. I still like the idea of an on-off switch for these, Alan. So if you're out there and you're an ecologist or something, and I'd like to know what the ramification. Alan, what if millions of these things are suddenly out in our neighborhood and what? I don't know. I mean, what does that do to I know we need mosquitoes, and I don't know.
I don't.
You don't care.
I
So
really
Alan could not care less about
for
any
once,
of
I am not going to be the ecologist on you. I'm going to look at it and say, mosquitoes can go.
that. They can go fend for
Really?
themselves.
Really?
So, hey, who knows? Maybe we don't need mosquitoes.
It's entirely possible. I'd like to find out.
All right, yeah, that would be interesting to know. So, well, Alan, this is some pretty great stuff too, and but I gotta admit, I am really fascinated by this next when we come back after the break, because in Great Moments in Building History, we're going to talk about the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia,
Oh, yeah,
which somehow ties to the moon landing,
it does.
and we'll unpack that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Where did that go? And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studio.
You aren't cutting the mustard.
Wow, that was weird. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the posts we've made over there. Like the page and share the page. And then while you're there, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page, and you can watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams and see what's going on with that. Well, if you're just tuning in, boy, we've had an interesting first hour, Alan. We've been, first of all, commemorating National Mustard Day. People have been chiming in with their favorite, their opinions about their favorite mustard. We're trying to be very careful, though, because if you don't rein Alan in, this will turn into a cooking segment, and we don't want to do that. We've also been discussing the moral implications of electrocuting mosquitoes, or I have. You don't care. Kill them all.
I have no ambiguity about the death of a mosquito.
Okay, so if you've got opinions about that, we'd love to hear it. But coming up shortly, Alan, this is going to be interesting. It's an unusual great moments in building history, because I feel like what we're celebrating more is not necessarily the structure, because there's really no structure. If you went there today, you wouldn't even know what you're looking at.
And I'm surprised you're celebrating the Rooskies.
Well, it's sometimes
it's a hole.
It's interesting, and we don't discriminate here, Max. But it's more about what the story around it and the things that they learned about it. So it's the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia. It's going to be interesting, and somehow it even connects to the moon landing.
It does.
That Alan's going to tell us about. Alan, I wanted to just share something before we get to any of those exciting topics, and I am just really loving these LED flexible flexible lighting systems. I used one this week in kind of an unusual way. It solved a great lighting conundrum that I was in, and I wanted to share this because I think other people might want to try it. So basically, there was a couple that they have those closets that are under the stairs, kind of like where they made Harry Potter live?
Yes.
Okay, so they're so you have one wall is like a 45-degree angle. Well, if you follow that 45-degree angle, sometimes that's a lot of space back there. Yes. Well, this closet had a hot water tank in there, and it was really that was the purpose of that closet. That's all that was really going on in there. They said, you know what? I think they moved the hot water heater, and now they had all this space here. So I was converting. Now the floor was in terrible shape. I basically, had to redo everything and make this a usable space. So we replaced the floor. We used that pre-finished hardwood flooring. Okay. It was it was about less than a quarter of an inch thick. So the way I had it positioned, Alan, we didn't even have to use a threshold. It was great. It was just you step in. The long and short of it was, though, when it was finally finished, there was a lot of storage underneath to the left by the closet. Right. But then it was time to figure out the lighting, because there was no light in there. But luckily, there was an outlet. So what I did was, for $20, I got that flexible. It was the flexible LED lighting, and where you literally stick it to. It was an 8-foot strip, and it had a little sliding control on the end of it, so you could dim it, you could make it real bright. So I took 2-sided tape, I stuck the control up up top, so you can just reach up and slide it to your temperature. And then what I did is I took the strip and I started down the door frame. Well, actually, I kind of went over the door frame, down the door frame, and then under the shelf. I taped it to the underside of the shelf so that it was shining down on all of that, and man, did that give a cool effect. So now it's lighting up all the stuff underneath down at those lower shelves. And I don't know if people think about lighting their shelving, especially in a pantry or something, because how often have people said, I can't really see what's even going on back there, or and using that rope lighting is allowing you to light up places you couldn't do before. And
technology technology is giving us a lot of toys we just didn't have 20 years ago.
Right. Affordable. $20.
I mean,
nothing.
I'm trying to think. We had LEDs 20 years ago, but an LED rope 20 years ago would have been in the thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
Now, honestly, you go to the big box store and there it is, rolled up in a box and a pile with here you go.
Sure. I have to believe that LED, that kind of lighting, is probably going to play a role in your project that you're working on, your outdoor pool house and greenhouse. I mean, let's face it, Alan, it's made for that.
It has crossed my mind, but I haven't really measured for that yet. But the thought of wrapping the inside of the quote-unquote greenhouse frame in an LED rope would be a very cool way to light it up. It would look like mission control.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm picturing, too, under the bar. Like if you've got a bar, you wrap the LED underneath. You never see it, but it gives off this nice glow.
But
it
now
lights
you
up
have
the
a
bottles.
full lit up underneath. Yeah.
It's cool. And I like how you can adjust them, and I like that they don't get hot. So, all right. Hey, Allan, real quick, though, changing gears because we have a lot to get to. Can you tell us about our buddies at the Royal Retreat?
Oh, yes. The Royal Retreat is assisted living. It is at 6551 Night Arnold Road. And basically, when you're talking about family dynamics, planning for the future, planning for when you have family needs, I tell everybody, get a plan.
Right.
Get a plan early. Go visit, go tour facilities, especially places like the Royal, and know what you're looking at and understand how things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in the last, we've all heard the stories, and it's just not that way. Yeah, when you check into these facilities these days, they have restaurants and activities and gardens, and it's nice.
Well, and it's the Royal Retreat is the right size too. It's not a mega thing where your parent or somebody is going to be lost there. And it's kind of like a family environment. It was fun having them, Alana Candela,
Lana and
KK on the show last week. So, but it's just a great facility. It's really nice being a part of their community.
So, as your family dynamics are changing and growing, feel free to give them a call at 901-563-2210. And I tell everybody, you got to go take a tour and ask questions.
Absolutely. Because
you got to get in there and go see. You got to walk through the dining room. You got to look at the garden. You got to check out a room. You really got to get in there and ask some questions.
And most importantly to Allan, great food.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, very good. The Royal Retreat. We love those folks over there. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, then we're coming back with our great moments in building history.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
When Pam gets Michael's old chair, I get Pam's old chair. Then I'll have 2 chairs. Only one to go.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
It's good to have a plan,
It is.
however sinister and weird it is. So. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the action and give us a like.
We have 2 spare chairs in the studio, only one to go.
Okay, thanks, Max. You're not nearly as creepy as Creed, but you're getting there sometimes. So
thank you.
Okay. After you've done that, he's not going to distract me though, Allan, as much as he tries.
Keep going, Joe.
I've got my note
in
card
you.
right here. Also, while you're over at Facebook, you can go to the News Talk 98.9, the Roar Facebook page, and watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams and check out the action over there. So apparently people are weighing in. We were talking a little bit before the break about my love for these LED rope lights and the LED. This one I used the very ultra thin stick-on lighting in a really unique way in a pantry closet, and I had an extra 2 or 3 feet left over, Allan, so I just wrapped it under the bottom shelf of a pantry where there was about a 18-inch clearance or something. There's going to be a lot of storage down there, and man, did it look nice. It just lights up. It kind of gives this warm glow, but you said Agent 732 chimed in, right, Max?
I mean, naturally.
Okay.
You can get some pretty cool neon wall lighting online now for relatively cheap. Most are around $20 and go nicely under floating shelves.
Yeah, Agent 732 sent a picture of he's saying neon, or he or she, we don't know who Agent 732
Well, it is a faux neon, because I've seen these.
It looks like neon, but it's not. It's
exactly. It is LED rope lighting.
Right.
But
Because they've gotten to that point.
Exactly.
I guess neon companies are going to be put out of business with some of this.
Well,
right?
they're doing LED. They're swapping like everybody else.
It's flexible. I wish we had it back in the day, because the one thing about neon that I remember is those tubes were so sensitive, and you could crack them.
So easy to
and,
break.
and then all the gas gets out, and then it's broke. But what else did Agent 732 have to say?
Well, that's Alan's job with regards to the mustard.
Yep.
Okay.
Agent 732 said prefers sweet spicy. And another friend of mine chimed in and went, it's got to be spicy stone ground.
Okay, stone ground leaves the little granules and texture.
Right. They love it's a true deli mustard.
Okay.
And then, of course, your sweet spicy, which is another whole division of mustards.
I mean, there's shelves of mustard, right? I mean, it's not like you just go and pick up mustard anymore.
Going to get mustard's like going to get a hot sauce.
Yeah.
There's 20 different types these days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an awesome, as a culinary person, it is an awesome choice.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that because if you're just tuning in, Max let us know that today is National Mustard Day. So we're allowing that into the conversation with great trepidation because if you're not careful, Alan will make the whole show about mustard. So, hey, who would never make the show about mustard because he's way too focused on business and taking care of people's needs is our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. What do you think of that? Although I bet I have to imagine Jay has mustard preferences like everybody else.
Jay would so rather talk about hot dogs.
He's a foodie, but not today, Alan. He's down to business. I happen to know he's on a pretty big project right now. If you have anything, so Jay's specialty, of course, is the exterior protection of your home. Now, it's like we said in the past, Alan, in some situations, we're still kind of recovering from these storms, even though they were a few weeks ago. When we are dealing with storms or unusual situations, Jay has to prioritize. So at the moment, he is going full steam with his roofs, but but he'll be caught up soon. And he's all about the exterior protection of your home. So roofs, gutters, siding, and windows from top to bottom, and concrete. So really, encompassing the entire thing. We do like to zero in on his roofing expertise because it all ties together. For one thing, he is always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. He's a GAF Master Elite Installer. They install roofing systems. Of course, GAF is at the cutting edge of roofing technology, and that's why they're able to offer lifetime transferable warranties to your home. Alan, I recently changed my homeowner's insurance, and when they found out that I had my roof's 2 years old, and when they found out I had a roofing system, it actually saved me money on my a significant amount. So folks, keep that in mind too. So we'll talk about that later. But Jay also is a former insurance agent, which is very useful because your roof, really in the entire exterior of your home, it's protected under your homeowner's insurance. However, if you have to make a claim, that is not an easy process. No. And you really need an advocate, and that's who Jay is. Jay knows the protocols. He knows everybody in town. He's probably worked with all of the adjusters that you're going to work with. And he really makes the process exciting because whether you have a path forward or not, it's a free consultation and you're going to have all the information you need, which is empowering. That's what you want. So get in touch with Jay. They do great work. Also, you may need to finance. If you do need to finance, Jay has 30 lenders at his disposal. So you're more than likely going to qualify for several of those lenders, and then it takes minutes to apply. And once you are approved, you can select the lender that works for you because all the terms are different. So get in touch with Jay. We love the guy to death, even though he's not a geek. That's his one shortcoming. You can call him directly at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, Alan. Boy, I've been waiting for this all day. This is cool.
And now, great moments in building history.
All right, Alan, I had to persuade you a little bit on this one. You didn't right out of the gate like this, but in the middle of sometimes Alan and I don't agree on things, believe it or not. But this is, I think I just was more fascinated with the implications of this because it's not really a structure. It is
correct.
Okay, so we're talking about the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia, and just to give you the specs on this thing, this was. It's 9 inches wide, and it's 7 point something miles deep.
7.61.
I've heard people say it's 9 miles deep. There's a lot of conflicting information on YouTube. Imagine that. So you got to really do your own research. Right. But whatever, it's deep. Imagine going down an elevator that's 7 miles underground. I mean, when you start putting your head around it, it's deep. But
Now, I got my specs from the Smithsonian.
Okay,
So.
Alan, why was this thing made, and when was it made? And let's dive deep.
Well, actually, we do have to dive deep on this.
Yeah.
Because the implications of this thing are resonating right now today with our dear friends at the University of Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's if you're just tuning in, this is in Russia too.
This is in Russia, right? Back in the 60s, there was a little something going on called the space race.
You think? And the Cold War. And,
the Cold War, the space race. Right. We had a president jump up and down back in 1962 and say by the end of the decade, we're putting a man on the moon. And
pretty exciting.
So technology, but it was kind of fun. It was Kennedy's speech really kicked off the technology boom that we began enjoying in the 80s.
That's a very good point. Because we always say, some people say, well, what's the point of going to space? Well, for one thing, we are explorers, but all the technology that gets evolved, it winds up in a big box store 2 years later or something.
Exactly. Of, water purification systems, of how to move things, store things, transport things. All of these technologies went crazy. And there was also a lot of curiosity science going on.
Right.
We kind of had the funding. We kind of had the excuse to do some weird stuff.
Right. Can I say one thing, though?
Dive in.
Just because you're talking about Kennedy's speech and everything. You know what else is useful? It's always useful, is having a deadline.
Yes.
When you have an open-ended, we'll finish this when we get around to it, it never gets done. When he gave them 8 years, but that's important. So the deadline plays a role in this.
We have 8 years
too.
to get off the planet.
Right.
Yeah, that's
but
a big
deadline
goal.
for anything is good. So yeah.
So here we go. So here's the 60s, and here we have China, Russia, the United States, Great Britain, other countries all suddenly ramped into this technology idea.
Right.
And, well, you got to have resources.
Yep.
Mining is a big part of having the right resources.
Sure.
So
that's what's going to happen if we go to Mars or set up a station on the moon or something.
Exactly.
Right.
So everybody started this, and one of the big science projects was, how far can we drill? How far can we take mining?
Mm-hmm.
And then you add the geology department, and they all went, yeah, but we still don't know what we're standing on.
Think of that. We have speculation. You don't know 100% for sure what's inside the earth. I mean, we can speculate. There's no way to know till you start drilling, right?
I mean, that's exactly. There was this project that preceded the Russian project. It's called Project Mohole. It was the Americans that wanted to do this, and they wanted to try to get to the bot. They wanted to try to collect a sample from the mantle. That's a fun name. Sample from the mantle, and they wanted to go to Guadalupe Island to do just that, and they wanted to drill about 601 feet. But the project was canned by 1966.
Well, it's not cheap, and then but also how deep is the mantle? I think you need to paint a picture, because we think of we're on almost. Galactically speaking, we're on a paper thin mantle, aren't
yes,
we?
Yeah,
I mean, it's moving, and we talk about our house moving. Everything's moving underneath us.
Well, exactly. And we think of a house, we think of the house being stable.
Yeah.
You and I both know it moves and breathes.
Oh, yeah.
So does the earth, and we'll get a little deeper, pardon the pun, into that when we come back.
All right, this is going to be good. The Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
All you got to do is let us disassemble you. We're not banging rocks together here. We know how to put a man back together. So that's a complete reassembly. New vitals, spit shine on the old ones. Frankly, you ought to be paying us.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And I mean, Allan, they're also running a 25% off special. So there's no reason not to do this, folks.
Hey, I'm not going to complain about the last time I was, taken care of there.
Absolutely. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com. and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the action over there. Give us a like, share the page with everyone. And then while you're over at Facebook, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page and watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams. And actually, Alan, I think all the Saturday morning shows and most of the shows here are on camera. So,
yes.
People, I probably should have shaved this morning anyway, but one day I will. But hey, we're workmen, Alan. When we get out of here, we go and work on things. That's the way it is. So that's that's the way it is. But you can check that out, and it's a lot of fun. So don't do it while you're driving, of course. No. That needn't be said. But hey, Alan, in a minute we're going to get back to this. Is a really interesting discussion. If you're just tuning in our great moments in building history, we're talking about the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia. I don't know if Kola is an acronym or if it's because of the location or something.
It's in. I'll have to make sure I have the word in front of me before I try to say it, but it's because of the location where it is.
Okay. Before we do that, though, Alan, I'm I shudder to ask, but what is going on with Dark Oak Media this week? Because you're always in the thick of things.
We are and apparently the ringing of August is here, signaled that it is now Halloween.
Well, for you, it's Halloween starts in July.
Halloween
preparation.
Halloween starts on November 2nd.
Okay. You take a day to recuperate.
Yeah, we take a day off, and that's about it.
All right.
Of the big surge in one of our show offerings is the Haunted Histories.
Oh.
Welcome to New Orleans. Talk about vampires, voodoo, and all that kind of stuff. Huge surge, absolutely huge surge in the haunted history. Absolutely. Tiny Kitchen, of course, is refusing to bow down. So you can watch Scott Carroll make honey crisp before I get a nasty text from him.
Yeah.
And a variety of other cool things you can cook in a tiny kitchen. And, of course, our podcast lineup is getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the day. And I have to throw out that New Zealand, Norway has overtaken you.
Oh, so we got a little
competition going here between New Zealand and Norway on our podcast. They can look up tooltalkradio.com. Go to Spotify and the ubiquitous YouTube.
Yeah.
And we are there. But, yeah, right now we've got a rapidly growing following in both New Zealand and Norway.
When I watch videos about Norway or something like on YouTube, it seems like they're great craftsmen out there. So maybe
they got a long history.
Yeah. So maybe
they're knocking some stuff out.
Okay. Well, we love having them there. And you make a good point, Alan, because somebody may be tuning in and they go, well, shoot, I missed the first hour of Tool Talk. I'm out of luck. I'll never hear this show again.
Oh, no.
Fear not, right?
Yeah, they can take us with them. And the great thing is, if you go to tooltalkradio.com, you will see the archives.
Right.
You can honestly listen to years of Tool Talk.
Yeah, so don't miss it.
And not only that, but if you go through the archives, you get to see shows that are like this with Mustard Day.
Yes.
And not only that, but we still got texters texting in.
All right, what do we got, Max?
Anonymous texter, honey mustard and honey mustard salad dressing, no contest.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, honey mustard, I will say, I can't say because they're not sponsors, but there is a fast food place in town. I mean, it's fast food place worldwide or nationwide. I don't know what it is, but they have my favorite honey mustard. And
I know who
I bet
you're
there's a
talking
lot
about.
of people that know what it is. And or hot mustard. There's a hot mustard out there at a pretty well-known fast food place. It's great. So
like tangy?
I'm with them. Huh?
Like tangy or whatever?
I don't know what it is. It is perfectly seasoned. I wish I knew where they got it because I'd buy a quart of that stuff. So.
The reason I ask because we have another texter named Randy. They say they like their mustard tangy.
Okay.
Good.
Tangy. Yeah. Okay. So the southern, so far nobody's really gone to bat for the yellow mustard. They want exotic mustards. So
we want them stepped up just a little bit.
Well, there's still time for you to chime in because I think at the end of the show, maybe we'll calibrate, the top mustard. So far, it's kind of spread out, but yellow mustard hasn't even made an appearance.
Nope,
so.
not yet.
All right. Hey, Alan, let's shift gears. Let's get back to the topic at hand, which is great moments in building history. The Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia, which, if you're just tuning in, folks, is so it's out in a remote part of Russia.
It's over by Norway, as a matter of fact.
But I thought they said this is a frigid desert climate. I don't know that they get a ton of snow. Maybe they do. I don't know. That's what I saw. Frigid
tundra
desert
kind of thing. They were looking for a stable place.
Right. To drill. Basically, they have a 9-inch hole, and they wanted to go down there. I don't know if they had a depth. I thought they were talking 23 miles, something like that, to penetrate the Earth's crust, but they got stopped, and we'll talk about why.
The goal was eventually to reach the mantle.
Just a brief aside, the name Kola, I believe, comes from the Kola Peninsula, which is in Murmansk, where they drilled the hole.
All right, that makes sense. The thing is, you go there today, it's dilapidated, it's falling apart, and all that marks the spot is this little plate with bolts on it, and it's welded shut. And
that's it.
It's not very, there's not even a plaque. But, Alan, so we were talking about why we would do this, and you were bringing up the space race, the Cold War. We were in a technological battle with Russia.
Right.
That was basically, it was a power struggle.
And mining is a huge part of this. And so when we add in competition, science, and just bragging rights, here we go. They found a location. They said, okay, we think this is a good place. The geologist went, we have all these expectations, so here we go.
Yeah.
And we discovered that for the first mile of drilling, we really pretty much knew what we were doing about 1970.
Right.
After
it was predictable.
After that, we discovered it's really hard to do this.
Yeah.
So here we go. They start with a 7-inch drill hole, and they get down for a while, and they finally made it down to about 2 miles, and part of the drilling pipe broke off and fell in.
I have a lot of questions about this, Alan.
Because what we were discovering is the materials we were using in the drilling process, well, we'd never really built a drill this big before.
Well, you build it, you do a section, then you attach, after it goes into the ground, then you attach the next section. It's obviously not a 9-mile long drill bit.
Right.
I'm really glad they had this. They didn't have this sort of principle for when they were going into space. It's like, well, we haven't been there before, so let's just try something out.
Well, that is actually how that started, sir.
But Alan, here's the thing. Okay, you're breaking up rock. You're breaking up all. Well, you have to. That has to come out.
Yes.
I just wondered how they got it out.
Well,
especially when you start getting down 2 miles or something.
Well, congratulations. Welcome to the engineering nightmares that had to be overcome, because you have to use a slurry system. But as anybody has discovered, well, I'm about to describe this, you've picked up a hose before.
Yeah.
Right? So you're walking around with a hose over your shoulder, but that hose is empty.
Right.
Now, what happens if I fill that hose up with water?
Oh, yeah, it gets heavy.
How much does it weigh? All right, now I got a 2-mile deep hole, and I'm trying to get the dirt and the dust and the water and the mess out of the hole. Well, all of that has weight.
Right.
And the further you have to transport it, the more weight you're having to transport. It's the old physics problem of which takes more energy, lifting an elephant 1 inch or lifting a mouse 1 mile.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Well, it's about the same.
Right.
It's just a matter of what am I lifting and how am I carrying it. The other thing is that the Earth is not stable.
We're moving.
And things shift and twist. And like we've talked about in space a lot of times, the universe doesn't care what we think.
No.
Nor does the inside of the Earth.
No. We have our theories of what it is, but we may be totally wrong. Godzilla may really live in there.
Yeah,
we don't know.
we got that.
Or the mole people, thank
exactly.
goodness.
Yeah. The mole people may have been fighting back, Alan. We don't know.
The Silurians.
Sabotage.
Exactly. They may have sabotaged the drill.
Well, so welcome to materials that now had to advance. So this project actually went on for decades,
right,
and finally reached The third iteration of the hole, they're still using the same port, but they're going down and angling off.
Right.
The third iteration of the hole is known as SG3 and made it over 7.5 miles.
I want to say something, Alan, because
that's a deep hole, y'all.
It's exciting. But the thing is, so it hit water in places they didn't expect to find water. It hit voids, which to me, a void would be even worse because suddenly what's keeping that drill bit straight?
Nothing.
It
falls.
That part would be right. And we don't know how deep the void is. I mean, it's like you just, and all the weight now is hanging. And boy, when you hit a void, that's got to be an even bigger problem. So.
I kind of had a question about the project itself. I was wondering if the Kola was recent enough to have cameras installed on the drill to where you could see as you're going down. Because, when we went into space, we had the ability to look at our astronauts on the moon.
No. We did not have micro cameras. However, there were cameras later, and photography was done during up and down the length of the shaft.
I want to say
there
something.
are pictures.
I wish we had 3 hours to talk about this because it's very interesting. But bullet points to the first thing you're going to notice when you Google this and you go to YouTube, you're going to hear also there's some horrifying sounds that come out of this hole because of echoes and the earth moving, and it sounds pretty creepy. And so you're going to have nightmare-inducing sounds. Also, you're going to hit the temperatures were not what they were expecting.
Everything about this thing was a surprise.
It's not the kind of surprise you want either.
It's the mole people saying, "Stay out of our turf."
Exactly. A full battle ensued, and we're gonna wrap that up when we come back.
Yep.
You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Did somebody say boom?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Oddly appropriate, Max. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the action over there. After you've done that, scoot on over to the News Talk 98.9 The Roar Facebook page, and you can watch the show on the Royal Retreat studio cams. So, Alan, we got a lot to get to. We better, because we've got people still weighing in on mustard.
Absolutely.
Max, it's today's National Mustard Day, and everybody's giving us their opinion. So,
Angel said that she likes yellow mustard.
Huh. Okay.
All
well,
right.
Angel, good for you, because nobody's really stuck up for yellow mustard yet. We're getting all these exotic choices.
Quite all right.
But if there's still time to send us your opinions. Call or text us. Well, probably just text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. Because I don't think we're going to make 2 weeks out of mustard, Alan, as much as you'd like to. Hey, before the break, in our Great Moments in Building History, we're talking about the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia. I like that because, for one thing, it tells you what it is.
Yep.
And I hate some of these projects where it's got all these names that I'm like, I don't even know what this means. This one, I can figure this out. We were talking about the challenges of drilling deep, and it relates to new mining techniques, the Cold War, the space, all that stuff. But Alan, we did talk about the challenges. It's interesting that one of the bigger challenges would be when you hit a void. If you hit a void that you don't know how deep it is, now you have all the weight of this drill more or less hovering, right? And you don't know how much deeper because you still have to attach the drill. They hit water in unusual places, but what stopped the project was about 7 miles down. Sooner than they thought, they were hitting, you could call this molten material, right? They said the earth started to almost behave like hot plastic, and it diverted the drill, and they couldn't keep going straight, and they really didn't even know what they were getting into, and they finally just called it quits. But 7 point, I don't know what miles.
Yeah, 7.61, a little over 40,000 feet.
Yeah,
this was.
Think about that though.
Astounding.
Like we said, I've been up to the Sears Tower in Chicago, and you go up that elevator. Now I'm thinking that's like a quarter mile or something. I can't imagine going 7 miles deep into something. That's insane.
Well, let's talk about where this idea is about to land.
Okay,
because of the country of India has a space program.
Okay.
And they are targeting the South Pole of the moon
Right.
Because in moon surveys, we have discovered that there is a metallic object the size of the state of Hawaii.
Holy smokes.
Just underneath the surface, right there at the crater impact point. And since one of the big features to going into space is going to be we need materials to keep leapfrogging out,
right?
They're planning to land on the South Pole, and guess what? Drill into this to see what it is.
Very interesting. So this stuff paid for. It was worth the effort.
The technologies and the audacity to just try it,
right?
And the fact that we made it that far is a huge testament to my favorite joke about how did they build the pyramids.
Right. Yeah.
It's because they wanted to.
Yeah. Hey,
we found a way.
Max, you said you had some stats because there's other holes down there, but
or not only that, but in terms of like the comparisons of its size, like the Mariana Trench is about 10.9 kilometers deep versus the 12.3 kilometers deep of the hole. It's also, in terms of its height, I mean, as tall as Mount Everest, it's only 8.9 kilometers. So it's got like a whole 4 kilometers up against it. It's not only that, but like the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs was supposedly 10 kilometers. So that's nothing. You still have 2 extra kilometers. And so, and the deepest active mine is 3.9 kilometers deep. So it's nothing.
Okay. And I always I'm trying to think and convert those into miles. But hey, Alan, one thing I want to say about this is they capped off this hole with a pretty hardy, it's bolted, it's welded shut. Because when they hit these temperatures, the temperatures varied between 400 degrees up to like 1,000 degrees sometimes.
Yes.
So what I was wondering is, first of all, if you didn't cap that off, would that just be blasting heat out of the, what's the danger? I mean, or would the heat be dissipated by the time it traveled 7 miles through the,
Well, like we've learned from any good volcano, as soon as air gets mixed into it, you get a cap.
Okay.
It'll scab over.
Okay.
Of the biggest reason that you always cap every single drill hole, no matter what, is, believe it or not, radon gas.
Because the silent killer.
Yeah, exactly. The Earth produces.
To quote Toby Flenderson.
The Earth produces all kinds of bizarre things, and one of the products of subterranean Earth is radon gas. So, as a good, responsible driller, when they wrapped up this project, they capped it appropriately.
Yeah.
And to further cap this discussion, I'd like to talk about how the legacy continues.
Okay.
In one effort to drill through the Earth's mantle, there's a project being conducted by Japan's Agency for Marine Earth Research, Science, and Technology, and they're planning on having a ship called the Chiyu docked off the coast of East Asia, equipped with a drill to go 2.5 miles through the ocean water, and then 3.7 miles to the crust to reach the mantle. And it's expected to cost upwards of $500 million.
Jeez. Holy smoke. That's a full commitment. I wonder what they hope to achieve with that. But it's like, I mean, the thing about it, though, I was wondering about that, Alan. Is there an advantage to drilling through water because it'll cool the bit? It keeps everything, I don't know. To me, maybe there's
The salt is going to cause problems.
Okay.
Salt and metal and heat do not get along.
And we're not bringing it up on here, but one of the byproducts of this hole is the sounds that emanate through it. Now, if you want to have a lot of fun, go dig up one of the old Art Bell archives, because some people said, well, they stopped the project because they actually hit the pits of hell in this thing, and so it makes these weird screeching sounds but it's because of air and pressure echoing.
It is.
However,
air and vibration.
there's fun conversations that come out of it that we're not going to bring up here, but it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting rabbit hole to go down on YouTube.
Literally.
But the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia. So.
And one last on the votes. Dear Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio said that Boar's Head deli mustard is only surpassed by Boar's Head's honey mustard.
Okay.
So,
well, he's
the
a foodie.
mustard. And one of our dear content providers, Lori sent in that it is Grey Poupon all the way.
Okay, so everybody, you never know what's going to trigger people. Max brings us National Mustard Day, and half the show gets devoted to that. So, okay. Well, hey, we appreciate everybody weighing in on that.
Absolutely.
But, hey, Alan, boy, we have just a couple minutes here because we don't want to forget to get to our must-have items. So we're going to...
Alrighty.
We're going to do that now. Tell people what I'm holding up. I've already posted this on the Facebook page.
You are holding up magnetic hex bits.
Okay, well, that's a nice way to say it. It's called a nut driver set, too.
Yes,
I mean, which to me sounds more apropos for this show.
You guys drive me nuts anyways.
Yeah. So, folks, if you can picture this, I think most people know what a screwdriver bit. Well, we call it a screwdriver. I mean, there's a lot of little bits that fit into the end of these things. So it's a hex bit with a magnet. The magnet is key in my mind.
Oh, my gosh.
You want it to have a nice, strong magnet so that when you put the screw on there or whatever. But the reason I got the variety pack, this one has a 3/8, a 5/16, and a 1/4 inch because I will say this, Alan, it's amazing how many nuts and bolts are these sizes.
Yes.
And so if you have a variety pack of these and you have to screw something in at that awkward angle, you got to reach way back somewhere. Yeah. It's great having the magnetized screw attachment.
Yes, I have got several versions and iterations of those, including one on a snake.
Oh, I have that, the flexible one.
Oh, yeah, you can get that baby way down in there.
That's hardcore. And the thing is, these are such... I mean, I got a 3-pack here. I think it was $10.
Yeah.
It's worth having these because when you don't... It's one of those things, when you don't have it, boy, do you really need that thing. So
again, $250,000 race car going nowhere because of a $3 part.
Right. We call it must-have, for a reason.
Oh, my goodness.
Alan,
yes.
It makes me feel old, but I seem to remember a day before these were even really a thing, before screwdriver bits were a thing, and man, it's a game changer. A drill was a drill. You drilled holes with it, but not anymore, man. A drill is a multi-purpose tool.
And not only that, but like the revolution of making like these bits magnetic to where it's like it could actually stick to like the nails, the screw actually sticking to the screwdriver without having to worry it falling off.
It's a simple principle, but how many times have we said the greatest technology is based on simplicity? So
always.
Absolutely. So, Alan, this is an interesting one. This is going to be one people are going to want to go back and listen in the archives.
Oh, yes.
And like I said, we barely scratched the surface with the Kola Super Deep Borehole. That's your homework for folks. Go back and check it out
that
on
out.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But Alan, it's time to get out of here. So on behalf of my buddy, Alan Gilbreth, and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.